So how do we continue to stand firm as Team Canada going into an election? This is where the call for leadership. Canadians want to see real leadership. And that's why Greens are standing up now and saying, we can do this, but not if we engage in a conventional, hyper-partisan election campaign. We can do this if we meet right now. I'm directly calling to the new leader of the Liberal Party, Mark Carney, and to the leader of the Conservative Party, Pierre Poilievre, as well, of course, as my colleagues in the Bloc and the NDP, that we sit down together and review the options for staying firmly Team Canada while in an election campaign. Now, there may be other options, but the one that has historical reference points, the one that could work, and that Mark Carney must put in place before he names his own Liberal cabinet, is to bring together what would, in historical terms, be called a war cabinet, an inner cabinet that focuses on one thing only: how to protect ourselves, how to protect Canadian sovereignty, protect Canada's economy from the threat from the United States. To have legitimacy, that inner cabinet must include members of all parties. That's the historical reality of when Mackenzie King created a war cabinet in the Second World War, Winston Churchill had a war cabinet in the Second World War. To have legitimacy, to be able to take steps that are necessary, it has to include cross-party cooperation on the very limited set of things that Canadians want to see us continue to do as a government to protect our country. This is different from other election campaigns. And if we wage this as if we're in a conventional election campaign, the risks are enormous. One, the one I mentioned, opening up differences that Trump can exploit in a divide and conquer strategy. Another risk, Madam Justice Hogue already identified, the single greatest threat to our next election and democracy in Canada is disinformation coming from social media platforms, such as those controlled by Trump's billionaire oligarch friends, like Mr. Musk, Mr. Zuckerberg. The other risk is that the convention in Canada is that when you're in an election campaign, the government that remains, a cabinet government, can only operate as a quote-unquote caretaker government. How does a caretaker government respond to something that we don't know about today, but may be occurring in 3